we realized that we really weren't in the pizza business. We were in the people business. We just happened to make great pizza.
Welcome back to the Dataliction Podcast, where we learn from leaders whose experience and faith shape how they grow their companies on purpose. Today, Travis and I have the honor of sitting down with John Schnatter. Yes, the founder of Papa John's. John started the company in a broom closet, opened his first store at 24, and built it into a global brand on two premises: take care of your people and make a great product. We will cover leading with integrity, building a business that gets stronger when the storm hits, and why the most important person in the company is not in the corner office. And now let's jump into the conversation.
What you attract is what you put out, and what you put out is what you attract. So, if you're good natured and you're kind and you're joyful and you're full of love and you're considerate, you're going to attract those kind of people into your being, into your life. And, if you're angry and resentful and jealous and envious and full of hate, you're going to pull those people at you too. It's just today's life is very complicated, and the brain goes flight or fight, sympathetic nervous system, through two things. You're overwhelmed, full of anxiety, or you lack integrity. We've done a lot of work on integrity, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. God is truth. God is love. But if you don't have the integrity piece in, and you're trying to keep track of two different realities, you simply overload the brain and you forces it to flight or fight. So the thing around that is, play it straight, walk the talk. Clean business is good business. Clean life is a good life, a straight, truthful life. But the fifth dimension there requires us to kind of settle down and be still. And, most people can't lay down for 10 minutes and just be still unless they go to sleep. But, there's a big part of my day is that still time with John to kind of level set. You're much more creative, you're much more curious, and you're much more productive, and you're happier.
Yeah, I love that. And you're reflecting a little bit on, I love the fact that you're talking about around like leadership. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to you and your style. Yeah. And you're talking, where everything has in that attraction. I'm wondering when, and this is a pre-question, but one of the questions I had was, when did you decide that you needed to create more leaders than pizza?
We realized that we really weren't in the pizza business. We were in the people business. We just happened to make great pizza. The first slogan was find people serving great pizza. So we knew from the get-go that culture, interpersonal relationships within the tribe of the culture of Papa John's was paramount. I remember when we opened the first store, I was 24, April of 85. We moved out of the broom closet and we were doing like 9,000 a week. And I'm like, 9,000 a week, how can you spend this much money? And so I went down to the local Domino's and went in with a Papa John uniform. Now I'm 24. And I was just I had a passion and I had confidence. And I said, what are you doing a week? He said 6. I just looked at the guy and I said, if we can beat you in Jeffersonville, I could beat you in the whole world. At 24, we just didn't understand that that's not something that you just do. But we just didn't understand that, why wouldn't it be this way if you had the better pizza and you had a better culture? So you should win. The broom closet in the beginning didn't even have a sign on the front door. We didn't understand marketing. We just thought if you had the best pizza with the best people, marketing wasn't even a factor, and we had to learn technology and marketing and culture and infrastructure and R&D, human resources, all that stuff. But the two premises from day one were take care of your people and make a great product, be grateful, show gratitude, be gracious, be demanding but forgivable, and you'll be successful. But we had those fundamentals in place early on. And I think that comes from my mom and my grandfather. Yeah. They were just very high integrity, hardworking, independent, accountable, responsible, fun loving, mentors. family, leaders, parents, grandparents that I had early on. That was really a blessing. Now I had my other side, my dad, who loved to gamble, loved to have a good time, freewheeling, and he wasn't scared to take risk. So I was brought up in a family that you got to take risk. But when you take a risk, run the probability, make sure you calculate the upside and calculate the downside. Take care of the upside or take care of the downside. The upside takes care of itself. And so I think it was a dichotomy of having a free, loving father who had 9 businesses, all went under. And then my mom and my grandfather had 3 businesses and all of them were successful. So I remember getting to store 3 and my mom said, "No more. You can't, you're going to, you're fine. And I'm like, "Mom, I'm going to build hundreds of them." And if I had my mom and my grandfather's mindset, I would have never opened store 4. And if I just had my dad's mindset and I don't know, his paradigms, his methodology, I would have never been successful in the first 3. So I was really blessed early on to see both sides of risk taking with good probabilities. We'll talk about risk in this a little bit, but I mean, there's more risk out there than people really realize on all dynamics. I mean, for example, the stock markets at times that, you're sitting on a keg of dynamite. And at the same time, you got to make it happen if you do take that risk.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot about people here as a foundation to grow and to take both sides of both jumping out there as well as being a fine person. I love that, fine people and great pizza. What were some of the beliefs that you as a leadership team, as you went to 3 and more stores, what were those core beliefs that you had your leaders all align around to make sure that everyone was believing those same things to make them fine people?
I think the number 1 and 2 was, I always valued them and their input as much, if not more than I valued myself. I just knew we couldn't build a great organization and if we didn't have great people. Um, and back then we paid as good as we could pay, but we probably didn't pay as good as the next guy because we didn't have the money. But people feel respect. They feel love. They feel concern. And, you know, the, the best definition of a leader in my mind is people get behind that guy or gal because they think he's going to make their life better. It's real simple. You know, some way, somehow, this crazy, Colonel Sanders, Ruth Chris, jobs that have somehow these Ken Taylor, Texas Roadhouse, somehow these kind of crazy, really out there folks, you get employees, team members get this warm and fuzzy that I know he's crazy and he really thinks he's going to build 5,000 stores, but I think I'll go along with it because I think my life's going to get better. I think he may pull this off.
Wow. I'm curious. What did you think? What do you mean by the risk side? You said you wanted to get into the risk side of it. And so now these leaders you're saying are going to follow because they're going to pull this off. What was going through your mind on that?
People don't, when people don't deal with the truth and the facts, we have a saying that, or I have a saying, a kind of personal paradigm that I have is when I look at the world, the 3-dimensional world, which the language of God in the 3 dimension is mathematics. Amongst other things, you get a certain feeling when you're around people and certain intuition when you see things is when things don't add up to me, those things don't make sense. I can't go along with it. I tell them, oh, whoa, because people have a tendency to complicate. And the ultimate sophistication in life is the ability to simplify. When you see somebody using big words and fancy phrases, but they really don't say anything, that is a red flag for me. Is that, my nonsense meter kind of goes off and goes, hey, this isn't adding up. Dumb it down for the pizza maker. So if somebody can't explain to me something in one sentence, then I kind of know they're kind of full of it. Well, when most people, things don't hang together, it makes sense. They go, they go asleep. They literally go brain dead because they go along with it. We'll take the beautiful world of academia, where there's never any change because they don't want to violate their tenure. They don't want to be, they want to get along with their colleagues, and they want to be part of the facility. Well, that doesn't fit with the Jobs or a Musk or Sam Walton. That last thing they're going to do is go along with the group. They're going to be independent critical thinkers. And, in the game of life, the money and the assets are nice. And they're nice to have and you want to protect them. But, the three things they don't get my independent critical judgment. They don't get my soul. I know right from wrong. I want to exercise what I think's right or wrong. And they don't get my love of life and my love for my fellow man and my family and my friends and my community. Those three things are sacred. And when you play the game of life, we're playing like the market right now, which, you're never going to predict crashes. You're never going to predict highs or lows. But if you're not prepared for, 15 to 35% correction, you don't have redundancy. And in the game of life, redundancy is everything. You don't ever want to be vulnerable. You don't ever want to be fragile. If you're fragile and you're leveraged up and you're borrowing a lot of money, or if you're not taking care of your health with your weight and your exercise and your diet, you become fragile, you become vulnerable to bad financial outcomes and bad health. So you want to take that fragility into something that's strong and stable and move that into anti-fragile, where like the arch in Rome, the more weight you put on it, the stronger the arch gets. So you want to be where when, in a fragile box, if you push it around, things break. An anti-fragile, robust arch, the more you push it around, the stronger it gets. So if you can be robust in your finances, robust in your health, robust in the depth of friendships, robust in your desire to be grateful, forgiving, and loving, you're in a position that's completely antithetical to being fragile. Vulnerable to stable to you actually like getting bumped around, because for all of us, it's not a question whether the next storm is coming. It's coming. I don't know what it is for you or me or you, but it's coming. It's just a question of time when it comes. And did you put the right house on the wall? Did you build the moat around the castle, figuratively? And are you ready for something that's not predictable? Because time equals change. They're interchangeable. If everything froze right now, there's no change.
Right.
Earth stops spinning, you stay in there frozen in time, there's no change. Time equals change. Change is always unpredictable. So we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. When people give you a 5-year plan, run for the hills. At Papa John's, I could tell you maybe after the first month or two was in for the year, probably get pretty correct what the year was going to be. 3 years out, I'm throwing darts. So nothing's predictable. So when you have these economists and these bureaucrats who justify their jobs by predicting things they have no idea about, you've got to know that these people don't deal with reality. You're not going to learn anything from an economist, or a government bureaucrat, because they're never right, because they don't know what they're doing, because none of us do. Life is a game of unpredictability. The way you get around that is with redundancy, which is being anti-fragile.
Hey, I want to lean into that idea of not being able to predict things. And I want to go back in time a little bit, back to, you mentioned opening up just 3 stores and then maybe 10. And you, as a founder, as a business grower, you reach this moment that you've never been before. And I love hearing how you so systematically are thinking through the details. Give us a moment in that story of your growth where initially things were very unclear. How did you decide which way to go when you could have gone so many ways? Did you just finally choose something and hoped it worked, or were you as systematic all the way back then?
Yeah, we'll go 3 ways with this question, and then we'll talk trial and error. Harvard academia Soviet answer is, I love making pizzas. I was really good at it, and I love running a business, and I was really good at it. And I was lucky to find that early in life. Probably the real truth is, I was stupid as hell to think I could do it, and I was lucky in hell to pull it off. That's probably the truth over here. So let's get in the middle and kind of talk. Man, you got to have some luck. I tell young people, there's never, let's talk about trial and error through, just Mother Nature, humans. There's never been the same person created twice. You're all going to pass. I'm going to pass. I mean, we have a lifespan. Our genetics, our DNA goes on for years, hopefully. The whole thing about trial and error and tinkering, I think if you looked in the middle and you really were trying to advise kids on what to do, is find something you love to do and find something you're good at. And I've had to add, find something you're going to make some money at. Do something that from a practicality standpoint, you can make a living. So I think we were fanatical about quality, fanatical about people, understood the culture. We understood good, human nature and bad, that if you don't take care of your employees and you don't buy by them and you play games, they're going to become silent partners and they're going to steal. So you got to put systems in where they're paid well, but when they make a profit, when the company makes a profit, they make a profit too. I'm big on profit sharing incentives. And we were crazy about tinkering, what worked and what didn't work. And the ultimate form of redundancy is tinkering. The ultimate form of not being vulnerable is tinkering. When you do trial and error, you literally innovate and you find ways that work and you find ways that don't work. And success is keeping the good, getting rid of the bad. That's all success is.
I'm wondering, for those franchisees that are out there and these leaders, walk me through, what is your mindset in adapting to the market?
I look back at Papa John's. The number one thing we did is we ran an honorable company. I mean, it was clean from soup to nuts. It was straight business. Employees were making $34 million a year in bonuses. Average store manager in 2017 made $84,000. Better ingredients, better pizza wasn't the slogan. It was a way of life. We had very low debt, tremendous balance sheet, $200 million in EBITDA. And we ran the business with truth, honor, and ethics. Better ingredients, better pizza, walk the talk, and play it straight, play by the rules, and make sure. Now, when I say play by the rules, I'm talking about a win-win-win. In corporate America, the guy at the suite level, who's probably one of the least important aspects of it, unless he's focused on the people that do the heavy lifting. Store level and above is overhead. Store level and below makes money. So the most important person in the whole organization is the store level manager. The first thing I do is get that manager in the store to $100,000 a year. First thing I do. Somehow, some way, it may take me 2 or 3 years. I'm going to get that manager, because as soon as that manager starts winning, as soon as that store starts winning, sales, comp transactions, comp sales, food, labor, mileage, and then a healthy P&L, I'll take that to the shareholders. But I got to get that piece figured out first. So the most important person in the Papa John system is the person running the restaurant, not the person with the stock options in the C-suite.
All of this information for small businesses, leaders, this is incredible. I have personally learned a whole bunch. I am going to re-listen to this and take a lot of notes. Thank you for sharing nonstop wisdom along the way. I would love to, for the sake of our listeners who are all super interested in the fun side of you, we would love to know, what do you do to have fun on a weekend and to relax? And what does it look like when you have some free time? Because it sounds like you are just working a lot, but I know you rest a lot really well too. So what do you do for enjoyment?
Leonardo da Vinci, the best glorious life is total freedom. I can say, can do, I can be anywhere I want to be on the whole planet. with whoever I want to be with anytime. That freedom. Life every day is like an amusement park where I get to wake up and pick which ride I'm going to ride. It really is that good. Every day is a glorious day that God's given me, and I cherish that every single day. Total curiosity. Talk about attitude. Zig Ziglar, Zig Ziglar, attitude's everything. Get rid of the stinking thinking. Always have a positive attitude. Think. Well, you get to Joe Dispenza. It's like, well, your personality is what you think. You want to think positive, and then it's how you feel. I mean, you can actually think positive, not feel positive or feel good. And then how you act. That's your personality. So if you take somebody that's full of joy, always positive, always looking for the best, they go through life and they see a beautiful day. They see a green tree and a red rose. They see life completely differently than somebody that's overwhelmed with anxiety and that's full of, anger and resentment. I mean, the same reality. So experience. That's life. How you perceive it through your consciousness. That's the key, I think, to being happy. And why not go through life being happy?
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you're thinking about, I mean, you're having, looking at a situation, and it's whether you want to look at it as a negative or a positive. And it feels like the more positive way you can look at it, the better off that you're going to have a better future, because you're already pushing that forward in life. And so I love that.
Yeah. Impossible problems often hide the greatest opportunities. Just a bar, mixed lines, just a broom closet. No. It's 5,000 stores. You got to see it. You got the intent. Tiger Woods didn't win the Masters at 23. He won it when he was 6, 8, 12, when he was in his bedroom looking up at Jack Nicklaus and Augusta and Tom Watson and going, he could see it in his brain. See, Tiger is a great athlete, tremendous, very intellectual, but he's also a visionary. He can see. He had the intent. He saw himself in the green jacket winning the Masters. He felt the emotion, went out and won 5 of them.
Wow.
Happened when he was a kid.
This has been so insightful, and I really appreciate your time today. I've got a ton of notes. Half the questions I didn't even get to. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
4 decades on from that broom closet, the playbook still fits on a napkin. Keep the good, get rid of the bad, play it straight, and take care of people doing the heavy lifting. The storm will come either way. Simple and honest is what survives it. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dataliction Podcast. John said it plainly. The next storm is coming. The question is whether your business is built to get stronger when it hits, or whether it's patched together with spreadsheets and willpower and systems that don't share their numbers. Over here at Dataliction, we build for the storm, your own all-in-one platform that fits your business like it was built for it. Simple, where off-the-shelf software is, bloated, because a tool made for everyone, everywhere cannot be made for you. And owning it often costs less than renting that big pile you have right now. So visit Dataliction.com, book a free call with our team, and see what owning your own platform could actually look like.